So we manage this industrial data as a top-level KPI on connectivity for all factory, okay? From this KPI, we drain project, okay? We say, okay, we need to improve pro-efficiency, we need to improve supply chain traceability, whatever. This brings project, okay? Each project, and this is what we push forward, is that each project has to define precisely, okay, what are the data that they required at the shop floor level.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for listening to another episode of Industrial Visionaries. Today, I'm speaking with Rémy Beraud. He is Industry 4.0 Director at Bel, a brand well known with La Vache qui rit or The Laughing Cow, Baby Bell Cheese, and many other brands. Thanks for chatting with me today, Rémy.
Thank you very much, Jaeger. Thank you for your invitation. You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem at all. I saw your resume. I saw an extended background in Industry 4.0, even before Industry 4.0 was an item, a thing. Can you tell me a bit of your background, how you came into the industry, what your responsibilities were, and how that journey grew into Industry 4.0 directorship?
Okay. So just to introduce myself, so I am 51 years old. Okay, so I have some times now in the industry. So I have initially a training in on master degree into engineering school. Okay, in France, one on IT side, and the other mostly on electronics on the OT side. So I would say background initially on technology, okay, with some passion on technology activities. On next, for the last 25 years ago, I have most of my time, I would say, in industry, okay? I start on rail transportation in Alstom, working on I would say, what was called the innovation center. We were working on train, for maintenance or digital maintenance. So it was at the very beginning of digitalization. On next, I passed most of my careers at Renault, which is a car manufacturer, okay, working from 50 years, I would say, in three parts. First, I was working on a manufacturing execution system, okay, a little bit on that because it's something that is still on track nowadays, doing some deployment for powertrain factory and so on. On next, I had in charge mostly the manufacturing execution system and supervision system for power factories in there, okay? In Renault. On next, at last, because there was the trend of Industry 4 transformation, which started very early in automotive industry, I moved on the innovation on the connectivity program. I have in charge, most notably, the mobility program, the first topic with mobile device in factories and so on. On next, working on the connected plant program, because at Renault, there was a big product transformation, which is still active nowadays, regarding the Industry 4 transformation. I was in charge of the whole technology transformation on IT side for this activity, okay? Because of the movement on the dynamism on the transformation and move after in food industry, which is now still at its early stage, okay, of digital transformation for Bel Group. But this time, mostly on, I would say, more on business side to drive a roadmap on the transformation at Bel, okay? So that's for the overall picture. So mostly working both on IT and on business, since 25 years on technological dimension, growing progressively through nowadays transformation on roadmap on this topic.
Got it. And so when you started in digital transformation, did this always start with data collection, or were there other venues to start with digitalization?
Yes. The digitalization, when we took it on, that's also the way we have managed market in other companies. We start with, at Bel, with a global methodology, a global transformation. At Bel, we consider that the digital transformation is not only a technical topic, but a whole transformation, including, I would say, training of people and so on. So we have, of course, data is kind of the fuel of all of this of these activities. But indeed, the way we take it is not only on a technical perspective, but also, I would say, on a global transformation activity in order to bring productivity topic. Okay, so through our digital transformation, we bring new project in the factory, we bring mobile application, we bring connectivity, we bring also topic for operators, for maintenance, for every business. But we also train people, we also bring to workers and so on a new way to think to their daily problem, okay? Not only to have just a solution, but also to understand what is behind the scene of the transformation. And indeed, of course, we build new technology such as connectivity and so on. And to do that, what we at the heart of the methodology, we set up a methodology at Bel, which is called the digital methodology. We rely a lot on what is called the Smart Industry Readiness Index. For the people who don't know what it is, it's a whole methodology, but with, I would say, a maturity matrix of 16 KPI, which enables company to measure their maturity regarding the Industry 4 landscape. On at Bel, we use this as a basis. On part of all this KPI, there is, of course, topics relating to data, connectivity, and so on, but also topics on KPI relating of training of people, value, end-to-end connectivity, traceability, supply chain, and so on. And this is the way we deal with the digital transformation.
Okay. So you started off with saying data is the fuel of your digital transformation journey.
Yeah.
How did you deploy a successful strategy to equip both legacy equipment and modern equipment to extract the data, especially if you consider that Bel, as well as Renault, like they have many, many sites worldwide?
Of course, well, typically that's also an important KPI. The connectivity on the ability to take the data from the shop floor and to be able to drive it is, well, it's a key topic, because with the data, you will be able to drive new business case with AI and so on, for example, company. So at Bel, the way we work is as follows. We have several big use cases. For example, we have a manufacturing execution system project. We have maintenance, predictive maintenance topic, environment, and so on. Those projects are driving the requirement on the connectivity on the shop floor, okay? And typically, what we have done, because we know that, okay, we have several projects, we are sharing the whole data, is to say, okay, connectivity should be a kind of a transversal activity. It's not a per project activity. It's not up to the MES to drive the connectivity. It's not up to the environment topics to drive the connectivity on the shop floor. But instead, we need to have a global connectivity program at the company level in order to progressively to drag all the data from the PLC on the shop floor in a single place. And so at Bel, we have set up an edge platform, which is very strategic, okay, which we are starting to set up. Typically, we work with Siemens on this activity. And typically, this edge platform at the shop floor level is the single entry point in order to provide a rich data model. And for this data model, we also rely through OPC UA standard, okay, which is a well-known standard in the industry. But also at Bel, we try to use all the powerful feature of OPC UA. That is the ability to provide a rich data model relying, for example, on robots with specific OPC UA specification for companion spec regarding robotics, for food with, for example, the waste standards, which are specific OPC UA specification for food industry, and so on. So we try to take the best of the different connectivity standards from OPC UA marketplace and put it at Bel in order to have a rich, at the shop floor level, a single entry point, which is rich for all the use cases at the top level. And this approach is very convenient because we empower at the factory level people, we bring new jobs, we bring new OT guys, which are in charge of all this activity. And also for the upper activities, it leverage the setup of an MES, it leverage the activity of energy of predictive maintenance, because we have a separation of concerns for all factories.
Got it. And so you mentioned this was captured in a KPI. Can you share a bit like how that KPI is structured? Because if you just measure how many devices you connect, then you don't know who the consumer is of the data and how useful is the data you're connecting. So that might be a KPI that's not constructive towards business goals, whereas some data points are very valuable both for your predictive maintenance as well as your MES, right? So what KPI do you have there and how do you measure it and make sure that you align the digitalization efforts with business value at the other side?
Yeah. Now, to do that, so we manage this industrial data as a loop. Okay, so we have a top level KPI on connectivity for all factory. Okay, from this KPI, we drain project. Okay, we say, okay, we need to improve pro efficiency, we need to improve supply chain traceability, whatever. This brings project. Okay, each project, and this is what we push forward, is that each project has to define precisely, okay, what are the data that they required at the shop floor level. Okay, so we drive by value. For example, if the LES execution system brings a lot of value on the company, okay, and we have a plan of deployment, we'll address all the requirements of the manufacturing execution system at the shop floor level. Okay, so next, all of these topics and these requirements are digitalized, are defined by teams with both business team on IT and OT team in order to set up a data model saying, okay, for targeting this project, this project, this project, we need this data model, this unified data model at the shop floor level, okay? And we define using also what I was speaking before, relying on already made standard, okay? Saying you need to connect a robot, we need to have, for example, information on the, I don't know, torque of robots or whatever. So in OPC-UA robotics, we have this information. Let's implement it on the PLC. So this brings at the corporate level, I would say, kind of Lego bricks, saying if you have this kind of equipment on this factory, this is the kind of data model that you have. But we don't do at the corporate level the implementation. We just define the corporate standard of what are the data that we need. And next, because we have the Siemens Edge platform locally available, we just bring down to the factory these data models. And locally, we have OT, operation technology representative, people which are issued from industrial IT or from automation, which are in their new position in charge of taking this data model and doing for their factory the whole connectivity with the PLC. And because we set up this edge, because of course, as a lot of industrial, we have a lot of brands on the shop floor, we have a lot of protocols, Modbus, Profinet, and whatever.
Yeah.
But the edge platform provides this ability to do this modelization. So through the edge platform, we have people taking the data model, okay, saying, for example, you have a robot, this is the data on the field of data functional that we need. You have, I don't know, some packaging machine. So this is the data that we need from packaging machine for OE. And the job of those people is to take this requirement and to take all the PLC on the shop floor and do manually the connection. But this is, okay, it's a little bit because we have a depth on this topic. Of course, this could be a little bit boring at the beginning, but indeed, this way of working also could avoid some factories to do the modification locally. Because if you modify in the PLC, you know, it works. We have to stop the machine. We have to find a schedule. And in food industry, it's very difficult to find a schedule to stop a machine to do whatever. So this way, we can be able to have a kind of a two-level activity saying we can take the data and work offline to expose the data to other system. And at the end, from the corporate perspective, we have for every factory the same data model. This is what which is undergoing, of course. But we have a global large investment to push all our factories to have this standard data model. And at the end, okay, we also made with all factories an audit of the whole park. And for each factory, we have the list of the PLC to connect on their status. On each year, we do an update saying how much PLC did you connect, how much PLC are already connected, how much PLC have the data model and the standard data model. On this KPI each year we allocate budget to factories to upgrade all of their installation and to increase the connectivity KPI. And we go back to the loop.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Definitely. And thanks for the extensive explanation. It's very deep. Thank you. So part of it is obviously the technical challenge. And then earlier you also discussed that you want to bring new capabilities to IT as well as OT engineers. You've worked with both IT and OT in your career. How have you made them work together? Do you, for example, create squads that they must work together? Or how do you create IT, OT collaboration in both Renault as well as Bel?
Okay. So indeed, well, this topic is kind of a long journey, of course, because it's obviously for every company two worlds which were working apart, but due to networking and so on, there is more and more interaction and so on. And so the way we work locally, of course, when we were speaking of, I will say, a transformation on the way of working, we set up this new position of OT relative in factory, but also what we have set up in every factory is what we call a digital pillar. The idea of a digital pillar is to have in every factory, such as it's a lean methodology, okay? We rely on the lean approach, is to have at the industrial performance level, okay? So the people in charge of TPM on this kind of stuff, to have the overall leadership of the digitalization of the activity in the factory. So indeed, the way we work is as follows. In each factory, we ask to have one digital pillar, so one digital team, with, I would say, for the global organization, the industrial performance, okay, which is used to have this kind of activity because they do the same for lean, for whatever. On part of this team, we ask to have both IT representative, but also OT representative. So locally, we ensure that we have these three people at least to work out together and to design the local roadmap in each factory. Okay, so this is one of the key elements that we set up in every factory. And this team also have multiple missions. They have, of course, the rule of doing and prioritizing their activity, the rule of setting up solution and to make, I will say, a continuous of data from PLC connectivity up to IT system. But one very important feature of this organization is because you have industrial performance part of the loop, it is also the organization also keeps track of the value that we are going to bring. The idea is that the way we want to work is to say industrial performance push topic, they track value, and once we have value, for example, let's say, for example, one factory want to improve the efficiency of one equipment, okay, they want to improve the OE of an equipment. So they, part of our methodology, look in our marketplace in what are the solutions that we have to improve that or develop a local initiative to improve this efficiency. They define value through industrial performance. So we track value of everything that we are doing for the project. And once we have value, we are able to engage both OT guys and IT guys in the factory to make one pillar and to have a global collaboration to implement solution in factories.
Got it. All right. Thanks again for explaining. And do you ever feel like even when IT and OT work together, as you just explained, and you have all these frameworks in mind, that especially food manufacturing has to be a bit more conservative because of the regulations around food processing? And is it harder for you compared to, for example, when you were at Renault, to build momentum and to get digital initiatives, catching steam?
Yeah. Obviously it is. Obviously it is. But I won't say from my perspective, okay? From my perspective, I would say that it's the key reason there is for me two or three reasons. The first one is that, food industry, it's not like, I will say, semiconductors or automotive industry where I will say the entry ticket is very high. The factories are very big and so on. In food industry, it's not the same scope. You have a lot of small companies and so on. And there is a kind of also entry price to do digitalization. Typically, we were speaking about connectivity, but connectivity as a cost. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of the, I would say, a market landscape where food industries are a lot of small companies. It takes some time to implement this digitalization. But for me, one reason of this delay. And the second one is also that because, yes, of course, let's be clear, because I was in large industry, food industry, well, we are on lighting matters. Complex. You can have the same process, the same people every day, but because we are in dairy product, okay?
Yeah.
Because the milk is not the same, or
yeah, you still have variance in output.
you don't have the same product at the end. So
yeah.
It's complex. Let's be clear, it's complex. It's a complex industry. And my belief is that it's not that food industry is just a delay for me, because
Got it.
now the food industry is moving forward. If you look, for example, at the World Economic Forum, will be, I would say, the awarded companies each year. The World Economic Forum is awarding the lighthouse factories. Since 2022, you start to have some food industry, for example, Unilever and Danone and so on, have awarded in these categories, showing that the food industry is moving toward, well, we have the next player, I would say, in the industry. So it's kind of an open market for people and for industry. That's a business area to develop.
Right. It's so interesting, actually, that you started off with the distributed nature of your current industry and that you have, let's say, 50 distribution sites. Well, not distribution site, but 50 production sites. And that's the bigger challenge than food being food manufacturing. So the cost prohibitiveness of bringing new technology to sites is a bigger hurdle for you right now.
Yeah. Well, typically, the approach as Bel is to bring also standardization, okay?
Yeah.
So, of course, for Bel, this is also part of the transformation because, so far, this is brand new for Bel. We start the program about 4 years before, so we are still on the way. But typically, the idea is to bring also standardization because, of course, what we target at the end, because of the data, and you're very right to mention the data, is that the data is kind of the goal at the end of the topic. If we can, for example, get data from food equipment, both equipment, but also product and so on, we can bring a new business case and typically AI business case in order to improve, for example, the taste of the texture of the cheese of our product through data. And this is, I would say, the next challenge. But because we are at Bel, we are doing cooking, okay? So it's just digitalization of very not so, I would say, not intangible, but at least somehow very particular kind of data that we want to manage. It's not like automotive industry where we need to have the cycle time, the setup of parts on the vehicle. There is much more, I will say, random information, part of the process that we need to track on.
Okay, got it. And if you reflect on all the initiatives you started and like all your successes, then also on the flip side, like have you made some big mistakes, or are there big mistakes you can see other people making who are now starting in the Industry 4.0 journey?
Yeah, for me, of course, we have some project where, we have some failure as well, but I will maybe say more than some advice from our experience. We want to move the transformation. The first topic is, typically not to focus too much on technical, but drive by value, okay? One very important way of the operation, on the way we do the digitalization of operation, is that, of course, when you start the journey at the beginning, people have over concern about digitalization. And if you just speak about technical stuff, saying we want to provide some mobile application and so on, okay, you will get in your company probably some people which have the feelings because they have maybe some vision and some ambition. on that. But it will be much more hard to convince a lot of people if you are not able to provide some value, either it is cash, either it is time, either it is for environment, whatever. But drive by value. Okay, and for me, one key concern is to have the capability when you start a business case to start by this regular vision, saying, okay, we want to have some value and to try that. Another advice for me is also to think about the technological depth. Okay, it's what we're speaking regarding the connectivity and so on. Okay, well, indeed, most of the company, typically in food industry, but it's true for a lot of industry as well, we have already at the OT level a lot of diversity data, which is not predefined to be taken for upper system, we would just have supervision typically in food industry. But if you want, for example, to standardize your traceability of product and so on, this is data which is everywhere in your company. And this, and if you say, I will take a project, but inside your project, you include the cost of the connectivity, you won't have profitability at the end because it will be too costly. The benefit that you will make, for example, with a system for mobile, for device or whatever, if you include the cost of connectivity, which are necessary for several use cases, okay, the project is done because the cost of connectivity is too high, and at the end, you lose time because you are unable to justify. So for me, starting the journey of digitalization needs to also involve top management to explain the situation and to have some, I will say, investment in order to drive all this technical depth at the shop floor level, to be able to separate the cost of the shop floor and to, I will say, enable at the corporate level the start of a project with value. Indeed, one key topic is to accept in some companies to have some debt on some budget that you have to spend just to make the Industry 4 transformation start. And time after time, once you have demonstrated that, you can give up on this cost budget without ROI. But it's mandatory to think about all of these prerequisites. There is some prerequisites indeed in order to start your Industry 4 journey. So keep that in mind. And part of the transformation, it's also top down. You need to have top sponsors to join.
Yeah. So have a clear understanding of the value you're going to deliver and your return on investment before you start with your journey, and take it from there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot for the insights. Unfortunately, that's all we got time for to cover today. But before we wrap, and if people want to follow along with your research and your work, how can they follow along?
Yeah, we can contact on LinkedIn. We are open for discussion. Whatever we can get in touch. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you anyway for your opportunity. And,
no problem at all. It was a really fun conversation. I enjoyed it a lot, and I learned a lot. I appreciate the way you structure your thinking on how you approach projects and how often you go back to the core of what you're doing, value first, ROI, not just in the advice you just gave, but also early in the episode. So let's keep in touch, and thanks again for joining.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, see you soon.